My father is a pathfinder. I remember even when he was very young, he would go to places, he would venture into places that people before him didn't go. He will take us on a trip from Kuwait all the way to Umrah, and then to Jordan, to Syria, to Lebanon, to Turkey, driving. And he was at that time maybe late 30s, early 40s. People would warn him that there is a desert, 4,000 kilometers you are driving in a bare desert where there is no gas, no water, no. He says, I put my trust in God and I'm enjoying this. So he's really a pathfinder. And therefore he decided to come to this country back in 1984, the first time when he came. And then he started telling us that this is a fertile land. There is a bigger opportunity for you to serve Islam and Ahlulbayt in this country. And he was right. And now I find that what he said was really true. There is a bigger opportunity for us to serve because of the freedom, religious freedom we enjoy here, and also because of the openness that we have and the interaction. The nature of this society is even different from Europe. In Germany or in France, even I would say in the UK, I would not be the same. I would not enjoy the same freedom, the same access that I have today to the non-Muslims, to the American people in this country. I would describe the current state of the Shias of America as being okay. We are not doing enough in terms of our services, in terms of reaching out to others, in terms of unity and working together, but we are okay. But we are hopeful that we can do more. And that depends on many elements. One of them, the leaders of Shia Islam in America, be it scholars or non-scholars, the leaders of the Islamic institutions, the leaders of the mosques, the leaders of the community centers, the leaders of national organizations. They have to work more. They have to give more. The second reason, we need to be united. Sometimes, unfortunately, politics divides us. So some people are dedicated to this cause, others are dedicated to this country, third group are dedicated to this marja. This is what divides us. It's okay. It's okay we have different groups as long as we work together, as long as we don't clash with each other.
My father, interestingly enough, wrote a lot of poetry, and he always read a lot. My father would quite often go to various programs in the Shia community to recite poetry. So it wasn't something that was kind of abnormal for me growing up. But I think the variable of not really interacting with too many Muslims to begin with, and seeing my father have really deep relationships with Muslims from very diverse backgrounds gave me a different process of understanding in my own socialization. I started to talk in khutbahs that I was giving and halakas that I would give about the importance of building substantive relations between the Sunni and Shia community. We were then able to shift from holding a couple of nights of programs in the first third of the month of Muharram to doing a majority of the nights to doing now every night. I think most Muslim communities exist in a few different frames. They're either highly integrated, they're on the other end of the spectrum, overtly assimilated, and they've just lost every sense of their Muslim identity and they blend in. Or a third, which I think is more commonplace, they're very insularized. Here's the space that I'm Muslim, and here's where I'm everything else. And I think in a Sunni Shia dynamic, you can see that replicated. People look for spaces that are their own safe spaces at the end of the day. So I don't think every community fails to come together because of overt sectarian issues. I think that's just how a lot of communities get structured, in this insularized mode that seeks to not integrate or does not want to assimilate. I then think there's a ton of spaces where narrative gets imposed and constructed that renders fear of the other or imposition of the other, that has now a dynamic between Sunni Shia relations that are strained or non-existent, that leads towards a lot of conversations that promote an otherization that even puts outside of the fold of Islam, right? And in the sphere that we live in the United States, the default is that most spaces, whether they're Muslim or not, are going to likely adhere to a Sunni narrative of Islam, right? You can go to an elementary school that's getting an Islam 101 presentation and is going to speak about constructs that are very much so oriented around Sunniism. We've had people that have visited us at the Islamic Center at NYU who are asylum seekers from other parts of the world that are hesitant to walking into our Islamic Center because of their family members being killed because they were Shia. And when we're having conversations, the governmental employees who are with them, that are helping them with their asylum, the nonprofits that are there saying that, no, you're safe. You don't have to pretend to be Sunni here, right? You don't have to pretend to have a different name or claim something else. There's like real trauma that's there from real experience. My beliefs are within me. I don't need you to believe what I believe in order for me to believe what I believe. And my fundamental conviction is that if I have like a real sound, secure sense of self, it's not that it doesn't matter what you believe in the broader sense of it, because some people believe things that are terrible. Some people believe it's okay to kill people who are Shia because they're Shia. But to understand that the insecurity of me needing you to be you only when you're like me is not because there's a problem with you being different, but in large part, sociologically, I don't know how to be myself when everyone around me isn't like me. I don't need your permission to be who I am, but you also don't need my permission to be who you are.
Sectarianism in America, like any other part in the world, is very real. And it's impossible for anyone to dismiss the impact of sectarianism in our communities in New York City or really across the United States today. Of course, we don't see the violence, we don't see the hate speech that we find in other parts of the world, but without a doubt, what we see is growing sectarianism, growing division. But at the same time, what's unique to the United States is also the potential really to come together and make a difference. 1 to 3% of the population of the United States are Muslim Americans. And that number is consistently increasing due to a whole host of different factors. Factor number 1 is the growing convert population in the United States, those who are converting to the religion of Islam. And secondly, those who are born, meaning first-generation Muslims in America. And I really believe that in spite of all of the hurdles and obstacles and differences and sectarian tensions that we find within our communities, due to these two specific demographics, there's actually a lot more opportunity for growth due to the fact that they're not bound by the shackles of those sectarian tensions, which many at times are driven by geopolitical factors. In reality, if we combine, we work together, we focus upon our core values, that of generosity, that of mercy, that of compassion, that of justice. If Muslims together, we focus upon values as opposed to really reflecting and thinking and starting our conversations by talking about differences, there's a lot of opportunity for growth and really making a difference, in this community that we're living in. What's so integral is that individuals, particularly those in faith leader capacities, have the ability to sit down and discuss and converse with one another. And that means on a human level. I understand that I have specific theological beliefs based on what I understand about early Islamic history and the way that that manifests externally as well, and how it impacts individuals all across the world. At the same time, those theological values and principles that I believe in they don't necessarily always need to be discussed, or they don't always necessarily need to be explained outwardly. We don't need to create our pulpits, our mosques, our Islamic centers, utilize our social media platforms to consistently be speaking about our differences. Those conversations can be had amongst individuals who already have an understanding of their respective theological backgrounds. We need to certainly tone down the polemics. And I realize that that's not such a popular thing to say, but we have to be at the forefront of toning down the polemics. Look, we are not going to solve the Shia-Sunni sectarian theological conflict that has existed for the last 1400 years. That's not going to happen with me. That's not going to happen with Imam Ahlulbayt. That's not going to happen with my friends or my colleagues or those who I engage with on a day-to-day basis. Those are real. They're real differences and they're real challenges, and it's okay to admit them. But once we admit those real challenges, then we kind of focus again on that which is important. We need to tone down the polemics, and we need to eradicate the language of consistent sort of foul language toward important personalities that other theological schools hold as valuable and important. And at the same time, we respect the individual who has those beliefs and who might respect individuals who I may have a difference of opinion with. It's really important that Shias in America are working together with their Sunni counterpart, whereby we often focus upon, interfaith dialogue is just that much more important for us to work sort of on an intra-faith level. And I don't only mean conversing with those who come from a different background, who come from a different theological school as you, but I mean more than that. If we can get our communities again to work together toward focusing upon how we are going to eradicate the racisms, the homelessnesses, the poverties in our cities, in our inner communities, then and only then are we going to see the impact of actually coming together as opposed to consistently breaking apart from one another.
I was born and raised in the city of Karbala in Iraq. And the city of Karbala, it's a homogeneous society. Most of the people are Shia Muslims, mostly religious, committed to their faith and their religion. The journey took me from Karbala to California. California, it's a diverse society. But that experience of moving from the city of Karbala into California enriched my experience to the richness of this life and how many cultures, races, ethnicities, religions, faiths, creeds that God has created. It's not easy. This transfer is not easy, but it's very enriching. It's very satisfying. You are born again. And I believe this is a blessing from God. This is not a curse. I really thank God for enabling us to move out of Iraq, Karbala, Iraq, into America. This changed my entire life, my entire thinking. And I think we are here by design, not by accident. I do believe in what God says in the Holy Quran. وَكُلُّ شَيْءٍ عِنْدَهُ بِمِقْدَارٍ. Everything that happens in our life, there is a reason for it. We need Allah's help. We need Allah's guidance. We need the blessings of Ahlulbayt. Because after all, we are their followers. And we believe that they are the right cause. And they are the right answer for America and for the whole world. The school of Ahlulbayt. Because it is based on rationality and it is based on universal justice. This is what we believe in. We believe in the Imam al-Mahdi. Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam represents universal justice and peace, not just for a locality, a regional area, for the whole world. And America represents today the whole world. So we have to introduce the concept of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam to the American people, because people are tired, I'm telling you. People in America are tired of the corruption and racism. And therefore, when you give them hope that there is a religion, there is an idea, there is a faith that brings glad tidings about a universal Savior, then you are bringing hope, not only for the Shia Muslims, but for the rest of the American people.